I feel like we spend almost every waking hour operating under this massive kind of unspoken assumption that we are holding the steering wheel of our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you grip it tight, you plan your 5-year trajectory, you read the self-help books, you optimize your morning routine. We are just entirely obsessed with the idea that if we just hustle hard enough, we can force our lives to look exactly the way we want them to.
Yeah, I mean, the defining characteristic of modern life is really that absolute, unshakable belief in total personal control.
Right.
If you aren't where you want to be, well, the default societal assumption is that you simply haven't steered the wheel hard enough.
Exactly. But what if someone walked up to you, tapped on your window, and just told you the steering wheel isn't actually connected to anything?
That would be terrifying.
Right. Like, what if they said the car is on a predetermined track, the route was programmed long before you even got in, and your only real job is to, well, just sit there and look out the window?
That is quite the premise.
It is. And today, our mission is to explore exactly that. It's a radical, perspective-shifting framework on fate and suffering. We want to see how treating life as a pre-written script might just completely rewire our relationship with our daily struggles.
Yeah, it's a huge paradigm shift.
So we are diving into a single source text today. It was
Okay.
written in 2011 by Su Feng and translated by Kinyu. And the title pretty much gives you the entire premise up front. It's called The Cycle of Cause and Effect. Everything is inevitable.
And, the author doesn't just suggest a slightly different way of looking at the world here. He demands a complete dismantling of how you view your successes, your failures, and your ultimate future.
Totally.
And rather than starting with some abstract cosmic theory, he begins with a brilliantly simple, direct question addressed right to you, the reader. He asks, how has your life been? Good or not so good? Satisfactory or unsatisfactory?
Okay, let's unpack this because right out of the gate, this text is aggressively countercultural. In a world that constantly tells you to, like, take charge, Xu Feng's opening premise is essentially, you are not in control and you cannot change much.
It's a massive shock to the system.
Yeah, and by asking if you are satisfied or unsatisfied, he forces you to look at the tangible reality of your life right now, like your bank account, your relationships, your health, before he introduces all the heavy machinery of his philosophy.
Right, he is grounding this massive philosophical lens in your immediate lived experience. And the core argument he introduces is that our current circumstances in this lifelike every single meticulous detail have actually already been determined by the actions of our past lives.
Wow.
Yeah. They are exceedingly difficult to alter because they have been, in his specific words, written into the script.
Written into the script. So if the steering wheel is entirely disconnected, we really have to ask who or what programmed the GPS. And Xu Feng traces every detail back to that script. The analogy that just kept playing in my head while reading this, it's like finding out you are an actor in a movie, but the movie has already been filmed.
Right, the editing is done, the special effects are locked.
Exactly. And right now, you aren't on set acting. You are just sitting in the theater at the premiere, watching it play out on the screen. No matter how much you struggle in your seat, you can only follow the plot.
Yeah, and sitting in that theater, the immediate question for anyone is how that realization makes them feel. For a lot of people, the initial instinct is just sheer panic.
Oh, for sure. The idea of being trapped in a narrative you can't edit feels incredibly claustrophobic.
It does. But the deeper philosophical application of this framework is actually one of profound, overwhelming relief.
Wait, really? Relief?
Yes. Think about the heavy burden of being in control. Like, if you are entirely responsible for every outcome in your life, then every failure is just a crushing indictment of your choices, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess every hardship carries this immense weight of personal guilt.
Exactly. But if everything is fate, that massive anxiety of what if I made the wrong choice, it just dissolves.
The pressure of constantly having to outmaneuver the universe is just lifting.
You're no longer fighting the current. You simply recognize the current is inevitable. When you strip away the illusion of control, you are free from all the blame you carry for your present hardships.
I see what you mean. Though Xu Feng knows this sounds like a wild proposition to the modern ear, right?
Oh, he definitely anticipates the skepticism. He actually asks himself in the text, do I have evidence for this?
And to anchor this philosophy, he points to historical spiritual authority. Specifically, he brings in a legendary Buddhist monk named Bodhidharma.
Right. And he zeroes in on one specific, highly potent quote from Bodhidharma. He goes, to know the causes of the past life, Look at what you are enduring in this life.
Okay, we need to spend some serious time on that word enduring because the text really goes out of its way to define it.
It does.
It doesn't just mean getting through a tough Tuesday at the office. Suefeng defines enduring as to accept, to bear, or to shoulder.
Yeah, the word really signifies absolute inevitability. It means there's no escape hatch. Every single event, person, and circumstance in this life is a result we are absolutely compelled to face.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The beauty of the text is how it takes this massive abstract concept of, enduring past karma and distills it into highly practical, everyday advice. It gets incredibly specific.
Very specific. Shuefeng writes that if you are poor in this life, don't complain.
Right.
If you encounter unreasonable people, face them calmly without hatred. If misfortunes befall you, accept them with composure.
So enjoy your blessings when they come, but when suffering arrives, just endure it. Rushing changes nothing.
Exactly. We're looking at the psychology of radical acceptance here. In modern English, enduring is often associated with, passive weakness.
Yeah, like being a doormat.
Right. But within the mechanism of cause and effect, enduring is actually an active, highly disciplined state of being. You are acting as an observer of reality who refuses to generate further friction.
I have to say, I struggle with this a bit.
How so?
Well, active how? If my boss is a complete nightmare and I'm just supposed to endure it calmly without hatred, aren't I just letting myself get walked all over?
I get why it feels that way. But consider how much energy you expend wishing a situation was different.
A lot, usually.
Right. So if you have a terrible boss or you take a sudden financial hit, the actual event is really only half the suffering. The other half is the internal friction.
The anger, the complaining.
Yes, the desperate wishing that things were fair or different. Radical acceptance removes that secondary layer of suffering entirely. It acknowledges reality without all that exhausting, useless resistance.
Okay. So you look at the terrible boss and realize this is just a plot point I am meant to experience. It is the echo of my past life.
Precisely. You endure it calmly because you understand the mechanical reality of the universe. Rushing to change it, or hating the person delivering the adversity, changes absolutely nothing about the underlying cosmic math.
The script is the script.
The script is the script.
But, okay, this raises a huge flashing red flag for me.
What's that?
If everything is inevitable and my only job is to calmly endure it, why do my choices matter at all?
Yes.
The text pivots here, right? It gives us the second half of Bodhidharma's quote, which looks forward rather than backward.
It does. So the first half was, to know the causes of the past life, look at what you are enduring in this life. The second half addresses the mechanism of the future. It says, to know the outcomes of the future life, look at what you are doing in this life.
And Shuefeng issues a very stark warning based on this. He lists specific negative traits: jealousy, resentment, comparison, anger, hatred, arrogance, selfishness, possessiveness, or being domineering.
It's a comprehensive list.
Yeah. And he says if we harbor these traits right now, we shouldn't expect to reach heaven in the next life. But, and here's the paradox, and I really need you to help me untangle this.
I'll try.
If my present moment, my financial struggles, my awful boss, my terrible luck, is a pre-written script from my past life, aren't my feelings of jealousy or anger right now also predetermined?
That is exactly the central tension of this entire philosophy.
Right.
To understand how free will operates in a predetermined universe, we have to separate the external circumstance from the internal posture.
Okay, go on.
The events happening to you, the poverty, the unreasonable people, are the script. They are the inevitable results of the past.
I get that the external events are locked in, the movie is filmed. But if I was a terrible person in my past life, didn't that past life wire my brain to be angry in this one?
That's the logical assumption, yes.
You're telling me the event is mandatory, but the bitterness is optional. How can the bitterness be optional if I don't have control?
Well, it comes down to the mechanism of consciousness versus circumstance. In this framework, the script dictates the stimulus. The past life sets up the scenario where someone insults you.
Right.
It even dictates the immediate visceral reflex of your ego wanting to lash out. But your awareness, your true internal posture, sits slightly apart from that reflex.
Oh, I see.
The karmic test is whether your awareness will identify with the anger or simply observe it and choose not to harbor it.
Wow. So the free will exists entirely in the, millisecond between the stimulus and the internal alignment.
Exactly.
The physical world is locked, but my spiritual response to it is the pen writing the next script.
That's a beautiful way to put it. The internal response to those inevitable events is the soul space where the future is written. The present circumstance is the result of the past. But choosing to endure calmly rather than festering in resentment lays the groundwork for the next cycle.
So the action within the present becomes the cause for the future.
Yeah.
So if someone insults me today, the insult was mathematically guaranteed to happen because of my past life? Mm-hmm.
If I respond with hatred, I am actively writing a terrible script for my next life. But if I endure it calmly, I am breaking the chain.
Precisely. Notice how the list of things to avoid is entirely focused on internal relational states.
Yeah, that's
Su Fang doesn't say if you fail to build a successful company, you won't reach heaven. He warns against jealousy, anger, arrogance, and selfishness. These are all variations of how you manage your internal energy in the face of the inevitable.
Jealousy is essentially looking at someone else's script and demanding it be yours.
Yes.
You are fighting the universe's math.
And arrogance is the ultimate delusion in this framework.
How so?
It is the belief that you are the one writing the script, that you hold the steering wheel. That specific delusion guarantees a lower outcome in the next cycle of cause and effect, because it operates in direct defiance of how reality actually works.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, we've been talking about this as a universal rule, but Xu Feng doesn't just leave this as abstract philosophy, right?
No, he doesn't. He applies this directly to a very specific, fascinating group of people he calls the Chanyuan Celestials in Lifechanyuan. So, how does this cycle of cause and effect actually manifest for them?
Right. He moves from the universal mechanism to practical application within his own spiritual community. The defining characteristic of these Chanyuan celestials aligns perfectly with the mechanics of inevitability we've been discussing. Swiffing explicitly states that these celestials are not educated or cultivated into their roles.
Wait, he says they are destined by heaven. Their status is already determined by the karma of their past lives?
Yeah.
So his job isn't to be a teacher trying to mold a flawed student. His job is simply to search for them. It's like a cosmic scavenger hunt.
The distinction between cultivating and searching is profound here, and it relies entirely on the logic of cause and effect. In most traditions, the goal is transformation, right?
Right, you take a beginner and teach them.
Exactly. You take someone flawed, educate them, cultivate their virtues, and slowly turn them into an enlightened being. Shufeng rejects this entirely because it mechanically cannot work under the rules of inevitability.
Why not, though? I mean, if they want to learn, shouldn't they be able to?
Because spiritual DNA takes eons to forge. If someone hasn't already done the grueling work across multiple past lives to arrive at this present moment with the correct spiritual framework, no amount of earthly education in a single lifetime is going to change their core nature.
Wow.
It would be like trying to cultivate a bicycle into an airplane while it's rolling down the street.
That's a great image.
It's physically impossible because the underlying components are completely different. The karmic math takes lifetimes to resolve.
Okay, so you either have the prerequisite karma to be a Chanyuan Celestial, or you don't. And if you do, you don't need a curriculum, you just need to be found.
Exactly. He is walking around looking for people who have already endured their past karma effectively and have arrived with a purified internal posture.
And for those who have that spiritual DNA, the cycle of cause and effect guarantees their ultimate destination.
Yes. By walking in the way of the greatest creator, reaching specific higher realms is not a hope, it is an absolute inevitability.
The names of these destinations are incredible, by the way. He lists the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent.
They do sound a bit like fantasy.
They really do. But in the context of the text, they are presented as mathematical certainties.
Right. They represent escalating tiers of spiritual reality. And we need to understand how that escalation works mechanically. In this worldview, cause and effect acts kind of like gravity.
Okay, gravity.
Negative traits, anger, jealousy, possessiveness are dense. They weigh down the consciousness, keeping it trapped in lower, suffering-heavy realms. But as a Chanyuan celestial removes that friction by calmly enduring the inevitable, their spiritual mass becomes lighter.
Oh, they lose the gravity of resentment.
Exactly. And as they lose that gravity, they naturally rise. The 1,000-year world represents a realm of immense peace, extended lifespan, and harmony. It naturally fits a consciousness that has stopped fighting reality. Then the 10,000-year world is a higher dimensional near-angelic state for those who have refined their posture even further. And the Elysium Celestial Islands continent is the ultimate source, the highest vibration of existence.
It's a progression based entirely on how much internal baggage you've managed to drop.
Yes. He provides the ultimate sense of certainty in what is otherwise a deeply chaotic universe. If you follow the cycle, endure the present, and avoid internal negativity, reaching the Elysium Celestial Islands continent is a mechanical guarantee.
The cycle of cause and effect guarantees the destination, provided the causes are aligned.
Exactly.
It is the ultimate payoff for letting go of the steering wheel. If you trust the track inevitably leads upwards.
It's quite beautiful when you look at it that way.
Yeah. It really is. Stepping back and looking at this whole dizzying framework, the core tension is this incredibly delicate, profound balance. On one hand, you have the radical, composed acceptance of our current script, like the deep exhale of realizing you don't have to fight the reality of your current circumstances.
The surrender to the external world.
Yes, total surrender externally. But on the other hand, it requires intense mindful vigilance internally. You have to constantly police your own reactions to avoid jealousy, anger, and arrogance right now so that you are writing a better script for the future.
It is a philosophy that demands total acceptance of what happens to you, combined with total accountability for how you respond to it.
I want to challenge you, listening to this right now, to try applying this lens to your day. The next time you hit a frustrating traffic jam or, you receive an absolutely unreasonable email from a colleague, what if you viewed it simply as a plot point?
Just a scene in the movie.
Exactly. Something you are meant to calmly endure without adding the toxic, heavy friction of resentment. What happens to your stress levels when you genuinely decide that rushing changes nothing?
And as you experiment with dropping that internal friction today, I want to leave you with one final, lingering question to really mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
If this text is fundamentally right, if our present circumstances are simply the echoes of our past lives, and our future is just the inevitable consequence of the internal posture we hold today, what does it actually mean to live in the now?
Wow.
Are we ever truly experiencing the present moment for its own sake, or are we just sitting in that dark movie theater acting as the inevitable living bridge connecting to eternities?